Hello everyone and welcome to the tennis. It's been a big 2 weeks, but we've come out the other side and it's time to do the AO25 awards. With me today, Viv Christie from Australian Tennis Magazine and the Sit Down. Congratulations on a great tournament, Viv.
Thank you, John. It's great to be here and it's great to have got through those big couple of weeks.
And the queen of the smaller screen, Brie Stewart, this time on the other side of the table. But
I know, it feels weird.
Yeah, but
I'm misplaced. No, it's good to be over here with Viv.
Any position, we just love having you on the show. So.
It's good to be back.
Now, we did this last year, Viv. Actually, was inspired by a feature that you and Matt Trellope have done on ausopen.com. But it's called the AO Awards. Where did this idea originate, by the way?
Yeah, I remember we had a lot of fun with this last year. I think it was just sparked by there's so many things that happen during a Grand Slam and you kind of want to see it in the big picture and pick out some of the best moments. So it was a fun way to wrap up some of those really special moments.
Well, just like the Academy Awards, we've got a number of categories here. So best performance we'll be discussing and possibly crowning. Most impressive newcomer, best match, best interview, and that would include on-court interviews, press conferences, one-on-ones, whatever you like. And finally, this one will tickle your fancy, best fashion statement.
Yeah, of course it does.
Right. So what we're going to do is each category, each person gets to nominate a player or a moment, whatever it might be, and we'll discuss it amongst ourselves and decide who is the winner of that category.
Yeah,
okay?
that sounds good.
All right. So first category is best performance, and the nominations are...
So I have gone with Gael Monfils. He made it to the fourth round before being defeated by Ben Shelton, had to retire, or it was a walkover. But he also beat Empachi Pericard, Altmaier, and Fritz as well in the third round. So really, really big success for the 38-year-old and an amazing slam for him.
Every time we think we're about to write him off for age, or he comes back and surprises us, doesn't he, Viv?
Yeah, he does. And it wasn't just the AO for him either. He won the Auckland title leading in. So I can't remember exactly how many matches that was, but I think it might have been 9. But incredible performance at age 38. He was the oldest champion in ATP history in Auckland.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and he gave that wonderful media conference as well. I don't know if anyone's got that, but we might come to it later in the best interview where he talked about his dream not being to win a major, but to just grow old and have lots of children.
Yeah, it was a really special day actually, because after he won on Margaret Court Arena, his wife Alina Svitolina came out in the very next match and also won, and they both beat the number 4 seeds. So very special afternoon for them.
Well, my best performance goes to a British man who we've seen a couple of times here before, but really hadn't seen the best of him. 2024 was a breakout year for Jack Draper, and he earns my best performance. Not necessarily because of how far he made it through the tournament, but the gladiatorial manner in which he did so. He played back-to-back 5-setters in the opening 2 rounds, firstly against Thanasi Kokkinakis and then against Alex Vukic. Both of them were extraordinary wins. And then was eventually eliminated against Carlos Alcaraz, but he just left it all out there. The guy was walking wounded, but still giving 100%. And yeah, just exciting left hand, big game on him. I loved everything he brought to the court, particularly against some pretty parochial Aussie crowds.
It felt like a very Andy Murray performance, don't you think? Pushing to 5 sets against Aussies, just kind of putting it all out there.
Yeah, shades of 2022.
Yeah, it really did. It did.
Yeah. I think it was almost probably a defining tournament for him in some ways, because in the past he's had problems with injuries, you know, he's been sick on court. So I think it was a case of him really pushing through to find a next level in his game, and I think it will really serve him well moving forward.
Yeah, I think if he can get his body right, expect to see him in the last 4 of more slams this year. We'll see how we go. I'd love to see him Wimbledon finals maybe. All right, Viv, who was your nomination for best performance?
Well, my best performance was Madison Keys. You know, of course, it's very easy to go with the champion, but I mean, what a complete performance it was for her over the Australian summer.
She was amazing.
She won in Adelaide. She won here at the Australian Open. By the end of her Australian summer she'd won 12 matches in a row. And it wasn't just that she won, the players that she beat along the way. So in Melbourne, it was Rybakina, Swiatek, Sabalenka, all Grand Slam champions, beat Svitolina along the way as well. And then, other players she beat through Adelaide and Australia, Ostapenko, Jess Pegula, Kasatkina, Danielle Collins. So incredible performance for her, especially, she didn't think she would ever win a Grand Slam and she did.
I like the fact that I read an article just recently saying that it took her to be at peace with the fact that she may never win a major.
Win a major,
yeah,
I know.
To have the freedom
so
to
good.
win.
Yeah.
And it showed in her game, didn't it?
It really did. I love that she said she wanted to have no regrets. So, she just went out there, she played her game. We know that she has a big game, like a big, powerful game, but she hasn't always had the control to go with it, and that's kind of been her undoing at various times in the past. But she just went for it, and it was incredible just having that courage and that conviction and that ultimate reward.
So they're the nominations: Gail Monfils, Jack Draper, and Madison Keys. I'm very happy to concede on this one. I thought Madison Keys' run was exceptional.
Yeah. I think your Jack Draper one, no offense to Jack, but he was last in terms of the nominations.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I just like to, I like to throw in
the
an underdog
perseverance
from time to time.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Madison Keys, our best performance of 2025. Okay, category 2, Brie, is most impressive newcomer.
Well, I couldn't look past our lucky loser, Germany's Evelise, because we just saw such an amazing run from her, beating Birel, Gracheva, and then Christian. And even her interview after she lost in her last match against Digger.
Yes.
When they told her, great effort, blah, 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 she was obviously still disappointed she lost, but was really excited about. Like, she wasn't even in main draw. She was a lucky loser.
I like the fact that she had a plane ticket booked home, but she decided not to take it. And I think she was third in line for a spot in the main draw. She just crept in, Viv, 5 minutes before the match with Birel when Anna Kalinskaya withdrew, and it paid off in the biggest way imaginable.
Yeah, I actually think that might have helped her in some ways. She was the lucky loser, but she went into that match with Kim Birel with absolutely no pressure. Like, she'd already...
No expectations.
Yeah, she'd already made it into the main draw, so she'd already sort of done more than she had dreamed of doing. So, it really helped her a lot in that match.
Okay, so Evelise is our first nomination. My most impressive newcomer was Lerner Tien. All right. I probably don't need to go through his whole repertoire or whole run to the fourth round, but the fact that he took down former finalist, last year's finalist, Daniil Medvedev, in a 5-setter no less, plus Corentin Moutet, who's no slouch either. He was out on his legs. Like, this guy was suffering cramp, and you actually thought after the Medvedev match that it was going to be all over, probably before that match. But he just kept going and going and going. A mature performance from a 19-year-old whom many of us had never heard of before. I think next gen finalist, ATP next gen finalist last year was the first time he sort of shot to the attention of the mainstream. But he announced himself in 2025.
And then I even know we did a colour piece with him before we even started main draw, and I was kind of like, oh, who's this kind of guy, this young guy? And then when he started getting through the rounds, I was like, oh, wow, like, he's amazing. And kind of probably touches on some other young people that we're about to talk about as well, and just the rise of what's next for men's and women's tennis as well. And
a great backstory as well. I think his family fled the Vietnam War to land in the United States and has grown up there. Just a wonderful backstory, and hopefully we see a lot more from him in 2025. Viv, who was your most impressive newcomer?
Well, I think it was all about the 21 and unders. So we had Alex Mikkelsen taking out Stefanos Tsitsipas in the first round, going on to reach the fourth round. We also had Jakob Menzik, who defeated number 6 seed Casper Ruud in the second round. We've just talked about Lerner Tien. But I think, we've got to go with João Fonseca. So he won the Next Gen finals in December. December, he also won the Canberra Challenger coming in.
Yeah.
So by the end of the Australian Open, he had won 14 matches in a row. So most impressive was beating Andre Rublev, obviously. But yeah, even his exit in the end was really impressive. He went out to Lorenzo Sonego, eventual quarterfinalist in 5 sets. It was his first 5-set match. So he came off court. I think he was still really happy with his performance overall. Talked about his goal to become number 1. But in the meantime, I think he's around about number 80 now. So huge progress for him over the last few weeks.
Yeah, he was like 150 about 2 months ago.
And do you know what's hard about this one? Obviously, I was the last to fill in who my most impressive newcomers were. And you already had my 2 top people. And then obviously Liz is amazing, so I went with her. But Fonseca and Tien were real standouts for the very beginning half of our main draw.
So who are we going with then? If we have to pick one, is it Fonseca or Tien? They are the 2 finalists from the ATP Next Gen finals.
I would make them equal.
Yeah, let's call it a
tie.
A tie. I agree.
Congratulations to Joao Fonseca and to Lerner Tien, most impressive newcomers of AO 2025. On to category 3, which is best match. So this is a single match that we're looking for. It can be any round of the tournament. We're going to start this time with Viv.
Great. Thank you, John. Well, again, I'm going with Madison Keys. Can you tell I'm a bit of a Madison Keys fan? But her semi-final over Iga Swiatek was just extraordinary. It had everything. It had great shots. It had kind of some baffling errors. It had drama. It had emotion. But most of all, it had that incredible comeback from Madison when she saved a match point. And I think probably a really kind of career-defining match for her in some ways. So from that match, she went on to play a fantastic final against Sabalenka. And, she'd never beaten Iga before, so the last 2 matches they'd played, she'd lost in straight sets. She'd lost in straight sets in both her Australian Open semi-finals. So I just think it was a turnaround on so many levels.
It was probably my favourite women's match, definitely, of the tournament. I remember watching it at the time. I thought for all money, Swiatek would come back, would take that breaker in the 3rd set. But, credit to Madison Keys, and delivered some numerous memorable performances throughout this tournament.
It was an amazing match. It was probably one of my favourite matches of the tournament as well.
But not your favourite. What have you put forward as your nomination?
Well, this is probably slightly controversial, but I've put this one forward because it was very surprising and really had me on the edge of my seat. And it probably generated the most messages from my friends and family because they just couldn't believe what was happening, and nor had they ever heard of Tristan Schoolkate. So I'm obviously talking about the Tristan Schoolkate, Jannik Sinner 2nd round match.
Ah, yes.
Where Schoolkate came out swinging, serving on point, and had it all over Sinner in the 1st set when he took it out 6-4. He then did lose in 4 sets, but by no way was he flogged off the court, but he did then lose 6-4, 6-1, 6-3 to Sinner.
Not many had taken a set off Sinner before
No.
at Grand Slam. The fact that Tristan Schoolkate did it so early, in the 1st set no less, was remarkable.
And on Rod Laver Arena as well, playing with the pressure of the home crowd, that huge occasion, but he was so calm.
Yeah. It was actually a really amazing match. It was just so good.
He is one Aussie who has that look in his eye that he's up for the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, your boy Jordan has it too.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to be overawed. Maybe they are internally, but on the surface, look calm and ready to drop bombs.
Yeah.
To quote the great Marshall Mathers. So Tristan Schoolkate, 2nd round, fantastic. He was only one of 2 players, Holger Rune being the other, to take a set off the champion.
Yeah, exactly. And well done to Tristan Schoolkate, because I think more Australians now know who he is also, which is always good.
The 3:30 pickup, I call him.
Why?
Schoolkate.
Oh, that is
John.
so bad.
I hope you're having a break soon. You think you need a rest?
I think we all need a break from your puns.
My best match, I alluded to it before because it links to my most impressive newcomer, but I thought Lerner Tien's 2nd round win over Daniil Medvedev into the wee hours of the morning, I recall it finishing somewhere between 1 and 2 a.m. It was certainly the latest finish of the tournament. And he did it with such aplomb. Like, this guy was playing smart tennis. He wasn't just sort of keeping up with him physically, which is a feat in itself, but he was like a chess master out there. He was plotting moves and he was putting Daniil Medvedev wherever he liked on the court. Just pinpoint accuracy in the most grueling conditions in terms of how long that match had endured. I was blown away by the maturity of the win.
I agree, because Medvedev isn't easy to play also because of the outbursts he has. So as an opponent, I can imagine it's quite difficult to keep your calm or not be affected by how he's performing, or not performing, how he's reacting to his own performance. So I agree, very mature for such a young guy playing in such an somewhat explosive environment at times.
I think Medvedev was stunned and the whole crowd was stunned.
Yeah.
Plus, it was like really late. You know, it was. I think it finished
late.
close to 3 a.m. You know, really long match as well. I think went for nearly 5 hours or something. So
it was into a fifth hour, four and a half.
Yeah. So I think he handled the conditions so well.
Okay, so Madison Keys against Swiatek, Tristan Skulkate against Sinner, Lerner Tien against Daniil Medvedev. Where are we leaning, do you think, with those three on the table? I think we can eliminate Skulkate.
I know. It was left field, my one this time. That's my Jack Draper.
So is it Keys and Swiatek, or is it Tien and Medvedev? Thoughts?
Keys.
Yeah,
Keys?
I think you
Keys
have to
and
go with Keys and Iga. But, I had a bit of an advantage. I'd written this article already.
Congratulations to Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek for delivering our best match of AO 2025. This is an interesting category, best interview. So this can be from anywhere that you've seen, but it has to be somewhere that's aired publicly. And we can roll these clips into the show as well. So we're going to start with, back to you, Brie, for your nomination of best interview.
I feel we've probably overdone her, but for rightly so. I've gone with Madison Keys and her press conference after she won.
I think everything kind of happens for a reason. And I think for me specifically, I kind of had to go through some tough things. And I think it just kind of forced me to look at myself in the mirror a little bit and try to work on the kind of just internal pressure that I was putting on myself. I felt like from a pretty young age, I kind of felt like if I never won a Grand Slam, then I wouldn't have lived up to what people thought I should have been. And that was it was a pretty heavy burden to kind of carry around. So I finally got to the point where I was proud of myself and proud of my career with or without a Grand Slam. And I finally got to the point where I was okay if it didn't happen. I didn't need it to feel like I had a good career or that I deserved to be, talked about as a great tennis player. And I feel like finally letting go of that kind of internal talk that I had just gave me the ability to actually go out and play some really good tennis to actually win a Grand Slam.
And I just really liked it because lots of reasons, but she talked about how proud of herself she is, how she didn't always believe she could get to this point. I think you touched on it before, John, about how she spoke about how she had to tell herself she didn't need to win it to be a winner, to be able to win a Grand Slam. And she also talked about therapy, and I'm a big believer in therapy, and how she
like psychotherapy.
Psychotherapy. So she'd always done sports therapy and kind of followed those kind of, rules and regulations or support. And then she moved to actually psychological therapy based on the brain versus the sports behavior. And she dealt with a lot of things, and she thinks that's a big reason why she got to where she got to. And I just loved that. I love the vulnerability we see more from tennis players these days, the support of therapy, because I think everyone needs it. Smart people get therapy, in my opinion. It was just really good to hear of some girl who's been told since she was 11 that she'd be a Grand Slam winner, and then went through injury and life and wasn't. And
for 20 years.
She finally worked on herself to go, you're still a winner despite it. And then she won. And I love it. Such a good story.
It's a great lesson.
It is a great lesson.
Be told in high schools around the world.
I think it's going to inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, I think Nike put something out saying, what was the tagline?
It won't happen overnight until it does.
Yeah. Love. I just got goosebumps.
It's clever.
It's very clever. Gotta love advertising.
Very clever, Mark.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they were sitting on that. They may have had it up their sleeve, but
who knows?
Fantastic piece of marketing from them. Okay, Viv, your best interview of AO25?
Well, I went with Alexander Zverev after his semi-final against Novak. As we know, Novak had to withdraw after the first set through injury. He was, credit where it's due. He was incredibly respectful, calling for the crowd to be supportive of Novak, talking about what he'd gone through in previous Australian Open campaigns and actually gone on to win the title. But also in that interview, he talked about how Novak had supported him a lot when he was going through challenges in his own career. They'd had a kind of a heart-to-heart in Shanghai last year, and I just thought it was a really nicely done interview and very appropriate for the occasion.
I know that everybody paid for tickets and everybody wants to see hopefully a great 5-set match and everything, but you got to understand Novak Djokovic is somebody that has given this sport for the past 20 years absolutely everything of his life. And he has won this turn with an abdominal tear. He has won this turn with a hamstring tear. If he cannot continue a tennis match, it really means that he cannot continue a tennis match. So please be respectful and really show some love for Novak as well.
That's well said.
There's no guy on the tour that I respect more than Novak. He's been one of my closest friends on tour. Whenever I struggled, I could always text him, I could always call him, I could always ask him for advice. I was speaking to him for hours last year in Shanghai when I was really struggling mentally a little bit after the US Open defeat in the quarterfinals. And he's always somebody that helped a lot. And, I wanted it to be a tough 5-set match as well. But, it is how it is. He's won this tournament 10 times. And, again, I have nothing but respect for him.
I'm often struck by how composed and collected athletes are with their thoughts immediately after any match. No less a match where there's been a sudden and shock retirement of a player. So he would...
that was such a big shock.
Yeah.
Like, I remember
really
watching it going, hang on, what's happened? Is he just going to the toilet? Like, I was like, what?
He's grabbing his bag.
Yeah, and he was gone within seconds. So it would have been a shock.
Zverev was sitting there with his mouth on his racket, like with a bewildered look on his face, just minutes earlier.
That's not how you want to win either.
Yeah, no.
But then to have the presence of mind to recognise what's happening, and it wasn't the whole stadium who turned on Djokovic. It was just a select portion of the crowd.
It wasn't that noisy, but it was still disrespectful.
The fact that Zverev had the presence of mind to look beyond himself and the fact that he was going to a final and to consider the other player and what had just happened.
Yeah.
I thought that was very mature of him.
Yeah.
And he spoke so eloquently as well.
Yeah, I thought, as I said, I thought it was a very respectful way to handle the situation.
Well, mine was Daniil Medvedev, somewhat by contrast, but this guy, you can just bank on him delivering. I think he's the most entertaining media performer on the men's tour by a country mile. I just think the way his brain works. I mean, remember in 2022 when he lost the final to Rafa and he spun that story about the young boy who had a dream.
He controls the narrative, doesn't he?
Absolutely. After he defeated Kasidit Sumraj in the first round in 5 sets, and he had to come from 2 sets to 1 down to do it, he paid great respect to the young man, the way he'd performed, by saying this.
These kids coming through, they're match ready, aren't they, from the start?
I mean, not every match, because I watched his matches and I didn't see this level, so I was surprised. But yeah, I mean, he plays like this every match. His life can be good. Money, girls, casino, whatever. If he plays like this every match, if he doesn't, then he's not going to have it. Maybe not in tennis. He's going to make it otherwise. But yeah, I wish he can play like this every match.
I'm sure you don't want him to play like this every match if you're facing him.
Well, if I'm facing him, no, but I don't want him, it happened to me a long time ago. I won Tokyo and I played the one Chinese wildcard Zhejiang, so I didn't know what to expect. And I played an unbelievable match to save like match points and to win it. And he was serving 230, so it was pretty big serve. And then the next week, he's playing some challenger and losing 2-2. And I broke him once in 3 sets. And yeah, you need to be consistent to make it in tennis, and I wish him this.
I find him very amusing, I must say. I always put my hand up to write on Medvedev because I think he gives us a lot to work with.
Yeah, he is very amusing. Yeah, he's got a quirky sense of humour.
And intelligent, I think.
Yeah.
As you said, spinning a narrative, but it's more than that. It's like making the mundane playful.
Yeah, he provides for us in social some of
Mm-hmm.
our top performing moments because he's just off the cuff at times. He just kind of says stuff.
That's right.
Which is great.
He's got it.
Quite unfiltered, would we say?
I would say filtered but unfiltered.
Filter like a tennis net.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gaps going
I'll
through.
go with that.
Like we generally can do it small cat, for example.
Yeah.
That's filtered but unfiltered.
Yeah, I like it. We all know what you're saying there. Final category. We got to award that. Best interview. So Zverev, Keys, Medvedev. I like Medvedev just for his candour, but who do you guys like? Zverev for his maturity, Keys for her inspiration. I guess there's 3 ways to look at it.
I think you have to go with Keys for this one
Keys
again.
I think so.
She's taking all before her.
Yeah.
She really is.
And I need to win one
Yeah,
with my recommendation.
I'm sure you will.
I need
It's
to
like
win
when
one.
a box office smash just sweeps the Academy Awards and they win Best Director, Best Actor, Best Soundtrack, everything.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here.
I
with
think it's
Madison
either
Keys.
Keys or Zverev in this case.
Okay.
Is my opinion.
All right. Well, I'm happy to give a joint winner there.
Okay.
Keys and Zverev for Best Interview of AO 2025. And our final category is Best Fashion Statement. I left it till last because I know it's the one that you've been salivating over, Brie. But socials must have been lapping up some of the looks in general from this tournament.
Yeah, we're can always rely on the Australian Open to really encourage the players to put their best foot forward with the first slam of the year. They really care about they care about what they wear everywhere, but there's something about Australia that I think they really, want to start the season right and on the right foot. And we all know, how you dress has an impact on how you feel. And it's the same for our players out there.
I imagine some of the brands, some of the sponsors probably that's where they refresh their look for a lot of the year. Not saying that it's just one outfit, but it seems as if they make a change at the start of the Australian summer.
Well, they refresh them for every slam.
Yeah.
They've got a kit that goes out for every slam, and then they kind of have pieces that run off for all the other tournaments that go around them. But I was lucky enough to get some insight into how that happens with one of our partners through New Balance. A lot of thought goes into it and a lot of thought for their specific players as well.
Just while I think of it, a highly commended to Isla Tomljanovic. I really liked that 3-colour. It was like a real summer vibe dress that she was wearing.
Yeah.
High collar.
Yeah.
I think yellow, pink and grey from memory.
Isla always looks amazing.
She really does.
She really does. So Penguin do a really great job with her outfits, I think. She looks amazing.
Well done to Penguin and Isla Tomljanovic and the highly commended. Viv, over to you for best fashion statement.
Look, it was hard to go past Coco Gauff and her backless bodysuit. Not one for the traditionalists, but, who wore it better than Coco Gauff? She was very confident. It had been specifically made for her, channeling Marvel, which she'd asked for. So, she was my best.
Yeah, so she said in her first post-match that she was a Marvel superheroes fan. Is that right?
Yeah. So she said a lot of female superheroes have cool cutouts on their outfits. So that's what I wanted to do. And she did do it, and she did it extremely well.
And I had the pleasure of interviewing Coco on her outfit and how it was designed. And even the kind of bottom half was fashioned off. She loves cargo pants. So
this is the skirt.
The skirt was fashioned off a cargo pant kind of style because that's what she loves. Yeah, she looked amazing. I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
And shout out to New Balance and Coco working so closely together to make something that she walks out in that court and feels powerful and amazing.
Just to clarify, day kit or night kit for Coco? The white one or the yellow one?
I think I'd go with the white one.
The white one.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that was her day kit.
Day kit, yes.
Yeah. And that was her favourite too.
Yes.
Yeah.
My best fashion statement comes from one of the most understated players on the men's tour. But he had a particular garment that I think was selling like hotcakes at the merch store this year. I know that because at one point I went over there and I saw people walking out with this item. 3 consecutive customers I saw walk out of the merch store holding a pair of textured green New Balance shorts. And they were the shorts that we saw worn by Tommy Paul.
Mm-hmm. Jordan also wore them, but yeah, Tommy wore them too.
I think Jordan wore the plain ones, but they had the same. I'm pretty sure Jordan wore the solid shorts. Tommy had the mottled sort of textured one. But yes, part of this green and gold New Balance collection.
Yeah.
I presume it was an Australian Open theme.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, those shorts were, I reckon, the best looking ones that we saw. There were a lot of textured shorts. I think Casper Ruud had some textured shorts as well in the pink red sort of colour hue, but I liked the green. It was kind of green and maybe a darker green as well.
I didn't pay that much attention to his shorts, to be fair, so I'm actually going to go back and have a look now. Yeah.
They're a great item. Get them while they're hot from New Balance.
Well, I feel like we're on a big New Balance ad right now, which is great.
So yeah, Coco and Tommy both New Balance. Yeah. There are like 10 different outfit like apparel providers.
Yeah.
So let's see if you're going to deliver something different for us. Who is your best fashion statement?
I couldn't get past Destiny Aeva and lots of news outlets and people and influencers are talking about it. And she actually found her tennis outfits via vintage online, eBay, Depop.
Really?
Yeah. And quite a few of them were replicas of dresses worn by past champions. So Maria Sharapova, Anna Ivanovic.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think, Destiny did a really good job this Australian Open. Did she go to third round?
Second round.
Second round. She lost in second round. And she doesn't have a sponsor. So for people at her level, it's really hard to know what to wear. And I just thought this was amazing. And she got so much press as a result of what she was wearing. And she looked fantastic. She looked amazing.
Well, yeah, I didn't realise that happened. For me, that goes to the top of the pile there for best fashion statement.
She's definitely going to win.
All right. Destiny Ayava, I think, Viv.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally support that.
Congratulations to Destiny as our best fashion statement of AO 2025. Was there anyone else in the audience too that we need to give shout outs to? Any
for best dress?
Yeah, for best looks.
Don't even remember. Tyra Banks?
I thought of Tyra Banks. Or Leon Bridges. He had a great cowboy hat on.
Wow. In stadium.
Wouldn't probably wanted to have sat behind him.
No.
But the cowboy hat was cool.
Okay.
And Tyra Banks.
What was hers?
She had like a hoodie onesie on.
A hoodie onesie?
Yeah,
it was pretty cool. She looked amazing.
So that concludes our AO Awards, all our categories. Madison Keys sweeping the field today, taking home the gong for best performance, best match, also with Swiatek there, and also best interview.
Yeah.
Madison Keys, most impressive newcomer, we awarded a joint award to Joao Fonseca and Lerner Tien, and Destiny Ayava, our best fashion statement. Just some of the awards. I think you wrote about a few others as well on ausopen.com, Viv.
Yeah, we had some fun categories as well. We had Best Friendship, which was Arina Sabalenka and Paula Badosa.
Yes.
We had Most Joyful, which was John Jones, the little Hot Shots player that skipped off the court and was eventually became known as the Chief Happiness Officer. So
hello, John. Welcome. Yeah.
Big shout out to John. And we also had Best Advice, and I actually went with Daniil Medvedev's advice on that.
No, he's good at that. Okay, so check out that at ausopen.com, a great AO Awards feature written by our own Viv Christie and the Sit Downs Matt Trelot.
Yeah, great partnership there.
Speaking of which, you had a bumper season because I think you must have recorded like close to 10 interviews during the summer.
It was actually more than that. I think we recorded 12 in the end. So yeah, we had some really great guests on. We had Corey Goff, Coco's dad, obviously. We had Vika Azarenka. We've got Diana Schneider coming up. Lots to look forward to over the next few weeks.
Great. And Tony Godsick has just been released.
Yes, yeah. Tony was fantastic. Gave us lots of good advice and just insights on the day of a life of an agent, a player agent.
Tony Godsick, the agent of Ben Shelton. You can check out that episode by searching The Sit Down wherever you get your podcasts. Some great interviews already up there and some more to come every week. Every Monday, they'll be released on the Sit Down podcast. Brie, we're going to be back to regular programming pretty soon. Did you know Storm Hunter's coming on the show next week?
No, but I'm excited. I love Storm.
It's got some big news as well.
Ooh.
So she'll be joining us here
Great.
on the tennis next week, as we will do most weeks throughout the year. And you can watch it all here right on the Australian Open YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the bell so you get all the notifications and never miss an episode. And you can also listen to these episodes in full wherever you get your podcasts. The tennis is what you need to search for. Until then, Brie, Viv, thanks for joining me today on the AO Awards show.
Great to be back.
It's been fun to be here. Thanks, John.
Go get some rest, okay?
Looking forward to that.
And we'll see you soon. Have a great week in tennis.
Thank you.
Bye.